I call to order this meeting of the Coweta County Board of Education, Agenda 811, 6:30 p.m., Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Recognitions, Dr. Horton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, I'll call on Dean Jackson, Public Information Officer, to bring you recognitions. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Dr. Horton, board members. We have two recognitions tonight, and our first is the Georgia Tech K-12 Adventure Prize. K-12 Adventure is an invention and entrepreneurship program held annually by Georgia Tech Center for Education on the Georgia Tech campus. We had several Coweta County School System participants and winners at this year's event, which was held early in the spring, and that includes Northgate Junior Nisha Reddy. I'm going to call on Ms. Reddy and Science Specialist Donald White for introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, it's always a pleasure to be in front of you to recognize some of our students' hard work. Tonight, I get the honor of introducing Nisha Reddy, who is a junior at Northgate High School. Nisha's work, she won so many awards, I had to write them all down. Nisha has excelled with her project, The Efficacy of Biofungicide Against Large Patch and Zoysia Grass, also known as BioGrow. Her work earned multiple awards showcasing her commitment and her expertise. She won first place at the West Georgia Regional Science Fair, second honors at the Georgia Science and Engineering Fair, and was selected to the National Youth Science Camp, an honor given to only 2 students from Georgia each year. Nisha also claimed the high school award at the Coweta Shark Tank, and first place in the agriculture category at the K-12 Adventure Prize at Georgia Tech, placing 3rd overall and earning the right to represent Georgia at the National Invention Convention in Dearborn, Michigan. We also wanted to acknowledge her teacher, Ms. Orla Thomas, for her invaluable guidance. Nisha, I wanted you to say just a minute about your project and all the great things that you were doing.
Yeah, of course. Hello, everyone. I'm Nisha. I'm a junior at Northgate High School. And this past year, I've been involved in research regarding sustainable agriculture. So yes, as Dr. White said, my project is about biofungicides, which are a more sustainable home lawn and turf grass alternative to the current chemicals being used. So I tested this at UJ Griffin, and I kind of translated my project into a product for consumers and corporations to use in the future. And I've really enjoyed my process of researching and product development, but also doing community outreach now. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to Dr. White and Ms. Thomas for helping me out. So thank you. Yeah.
Picture? Sure.
Congratulations to Ms. Reddy. I believe we have one more Adventure Prize that we're going to bring back in June to introduce to you. But we have one other recognition tonight of actually several students and teachers who are with us. The National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Southeastern Chapter gives a National Student Production Award each year, recognizing outstanding achievement by video and audio students. Several Central Educational Center video and audio team members won recognition at this year's event. And I'm going to call on their teachers, and particularly the CEO of the Central Educational Center, Mark Whitlock, to make introductions in this recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Thank you, Dr. Horton, Board. National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, the Emmy organization. In the 10 years that we've been competing with the winners this year, we have 21 awards, one of the most decorated programs in the southeastern United States. And we owe that to great students who work hard at learning this craft, this skill. And we owe it to great teachers who come from the industry and who can teach incredible skills to young people at even younger ages. So let me first introduce those teachers and ask them to come forward, and then I'll turn it over to Ms. Horton. Laura Horton manages the interns. She manages the product that's created at CEC. Last year, 150 productions in 180 days. Laura, I think you're going to break that record this year. Pat Patton, one of the best ears in the audio industry according to the Disney organization. Pat comes from the industry and he teaches the audio production side. Michael Britt got us into this program. Michael was on the board of governors of Natus. Michael, executive producer at Georgia Public Broadcasting before joining our school system. Michael helped us to become competitive and become one of those most decorated programs in the Southeast. Mr. Hap Hines, our principal, so supportive of this program and the other programs at CEC. It's a great pleasure to turn this over to Ms. Horton so that she can introduce our Natus Student Production Award winners.
Thank you. Yes, I'm so excited to introduce our Student Production Award winners. This is a great group of interns. We have had the best year. So for our first category, we won a nonfiction short form. We actually won doing a show that they get to partner with Dr. White. It's called iScience. And so we have Ethan Bass, come on up, Mihaela Geshev, Aubrey Hooper, Noah McWhorter, and Emily Milligan. And they all won for nonfiction short form. So the next, yes, please go. So the next category we won for arts and entertainment. And this was for a video that they did highlighting our contemporary music class at CEC. So we have Louis Vargas, Hampton Royer, and Emily Milligan is already up here, and Javante Holland. Come on. And then we won in the category music video, which is the most entered category in the whole competition. And so we had two students who couldn't be with us tonight, KJ Slayton and Taryn Jackson. And then Preston Cleash did all the audio for the video. And then we also have two of our students this summer who will be participating in the 21st Century Leaders program, formerly known with Turner Broadcasting. So Aubrey Hooper and Noah McWhorter will be going to spend a week at Georgia Tech this summer in July, and they will be meeting with executives, doing all hands-on, and only about 30 students get to qualify for this program, and we have two from our program that will get to go represent us. They'll be networking, making connections, hands-on experience. So we were super excited for Aubrey and Noah to get that opportunity and also have it on their resume that they were a part of the 21st Century Leaders program. So we're doing great things over at CUC, and we're just so proud of all these students. So thank you.
Dean, may I ask Michael Britt to come to the podium and say a few words? Michael got this all started.
Well, this is kind of a surprise. Louis, you're missing my close-up. I am just so proud of these kids. you know, as I'm getting ready to walk away from a truly great program and a great school system, I'm going to miss this. I am really, truly going to miss this. It's something else to start working with kids early on where they really know nothing about filmmaking or TV, and then get them to a point where they really make entertaining programs. That's something. That is really something. It is really rewarding. I want to thank Mr. Whitlock, Dr. Horton, and school board for allowing us to do this. Gosh, I've never worked a day here. It's all been fun for me to be able to do this, and I'm just so proud of everything that we've been able to do. Thank you so much.
Ms. Emily High couldn't be with us tonight. She does a tremendous job teaching in the video side of the program. Thank you so much.
I just want to say, Ms. Horton, you said it perfectly. Y'all are doing great things over at CEC. And kids, those gentlemen standing behind you and Ms. Horton, those are some of the best, and I think in the world of every one of them, and they put a lot into it. So y'all are learning from some of the best that we have here. But Ms. Horton, our videos of the board meetings didn't win an award? Again, congratulations.
If the parents want to come up, y'all can come up and take a picture as well. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of April 9th, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Any abstentions? Mrs. Barnett's abstaining, 6-0. Is there a motion to approve the called minutes of April 26th, 2024?
So moved.
All right, is there any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Action items, Group 1, Dr. Horton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first item I have for you in Group 1 is to approve a contingency change request to resurface 2 parking lots at Noonan High School. Approval is requested for a contingency change request to resurface 2 parking lots at Noonan High. After removal of the modular classroom buildings on the Noonan High campus, it'll be necessary to resurface the parking lots due to trenches in the asphalt for underground utilities to the modulars and removal of tie-downs for the modulars. This proposal includes milling 2 inches of existing asphalt, overlaying the parking lots with 2 inches of asphalt, and restriping the parking lots. Total contingency change amount is $241,105. Contingency change request and supporting documentation is attached. Mr. Chair, I recommend approval.
You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent to approve a contingency change request to resurface 2 parking lots in Noonan High School. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0.
The next item I have for you in Group 1 is to approve a contingency change request to install a wheelchair ramp in the existing Max Bass Gym at Noonan High. Approval is requested for a contingency change request to install a concrete wheelchair ramp at the existing Max Bass Gym. The original plans called for the existing chairlift to be replaced. Elevator contractor cannot provide a new chairlift that will fit in the existing space in the gym. The determination was made that a ramp would be more effective than a chairlift due to ongoing maintenance costs and because the new gym allows accessible access from the mezzanine level. The only need for an accessible route is from the court level to the lobby level. Total contingency change amount is $67,551.06. This amount includes a deductive change order from Maury Elevator in the amount of $34,878.50 to delete the new chairlift, which was included in the base bid. The contingency change request and supporting documentation is attached. Mr. Chair, I recommend approval.
You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent to approve a contingency change request to install a wheelchair ramp in the existing Max Bass gym at Noonan High School. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0.
The next item I have for you in Group 1 is to approve a change order proposal to remove and replace an existing concrete slab at the East Coweta High School softball facility. Approval is requested for a change order proposal to remove and replace an existing concrete slab at the East Coweta High School softball facility. Existing slab is damaged, and the existing elevations of the slab do not tie in to floor elevations on the new structures. The existing conditions will cause improper drainage around the bleachers and backstop area. The total change order proposal cost is $16,328. Change order proposal and supporting documentation is attached. Mr. Chair, I recommend approval.
You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent to approve a change order proposal to remove and replace an existing concrete slab at the East Coweta High School softball facility. Is there a motion for approval?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0.
The next item I have for you in Group 1 is to approve change order proposals to add fiber optic cables to the softball fieldhouse locations at each high school softball facility. Approval is requested for a change order proposal to add fiber optic lines to the softball fieldhouse facilities at each high school. Fiber optic lines are not currently available at any of the softball field locations. The addition of these lines is necessary to allow adequate connectivity for security cameras. The total change order proposal cost for each location is as follows. East Coweta High, $56,509. Noonan High School, $60,454. Northgate High School, $77,802. Mr. Chair, I recommend approval. The change order proposal and supporting documentation is attached.
You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent to approve change order proposals to add fiber optic cables to the softball fieldhouse locations at each high school softball facility. Is there a motion for approval?
So move.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, real quick, I just want to thank Mr. Cheek and others that have put this proposal together and brought this up to us. That's certainly needed there, and thank you for that work.
All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0.
The next item I have for you in Group 1 is to approve a contingency change request to add waterproofing to the foundation wall in Building 700 at Noonan High. Approval is requested for a contingency change request to add waterproofing to the existing exterior foundation wall on the lower level of the 700 building. We've had an ongoing issue with water seeping into the lower level corridor of this building. The base bid plans call for the existing sidewalk between the north elevation of the 700 building and the south elevation of the new classroom building to be removed and replaced with a new ADA compliant sidewalk. While the old sidewalk's removed, we requested that the contractor explore options to remedy the water issues in the 700 building. Upon excavation of a test pit to check the conditions below grade outside the 700 building, it was determined that the existing waterproofing has deteriorated over time. The initial recommendation was to excavate the soil along the length of the corridor in the 700 building down to the brick ledge, apply new waterproofing membrane over the brick below grade, and replace and recompact the soil prior to pouring the new sidewalk. To avoid delaying the project schedule and limit possible saturation of the exposed soils in this area, a field change directive was given to proceed with the work. Upon further excavation to start the work, it was determined that the waterproofing detail below the brick ledge down to the footing was inadequate and deteriorated. The revised recommendation is to excavate deeper along the footing, waterproof this additional area, and install a drainage system along the footing to be connected to the new storm drain system. total combined contingency adjustment amount is $66,609.90. The change order proposals and supporting documentation is attached. Board members, I will just mention to you, I was out with Mr. Cheek and the project superintendent last week. We have significant issues on that 700 building, and just when they dug in, just worse. The more they dug, the worse it got. So it makes sense to go in and try to fix it right. So that's why this change order is here before you tonight. So I do recommend approval.
Further recommendation of the superintendent to approve a contingency change request to add waterproofing to the foundation wall in Building 700. Is there a motion for approval?
So move.
Second?
Is there any discussion? I guess my one question that I have, and just kind of looking at the foundation wall, do we foresee, I mean, obviously you don't know till you dig, but do we foresee any additional, and did we, any more issues there potentially? I mean, I know we gotta do what we gotta do to make sure the foundation's together, and I'm not saying that. I just want to see if we anticipate any additional issues.
I would not believe so. The fix we're proposing is best practices that we're putting it in.
Thank you. All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0.
The next item I have in Group 1 is to approve school nutrition surplus items. School Board Policy DO requires board approval for the public sale of school property. Further requires that any public sale amounting to more than $500 be advertised and sold to the highest bidder. We have 38 school nutrition items prepared for sale. The list of items is attached. Once these items are declared surplus property, the sale will be conducted. It's recommended that the board declare these items as surplus. Mr. Chair, I recommend approval.
Sorry, you've heard the recommendation of the superintendent to approve school nutrition surplus items. Is there a motion for approval?
So move.
Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0.
The last item I have for you in Group 1 is to approve the 2024 to 2030 strategic waiver contract. Board approval is requested for the 2024-2030 strategic waiver contract with the Georgia Department of Education. This contract allows the system to waive certain Georgia Department of Education policies and state laws if needed in exchange for increased accountability. The Department of Education staff have already approved the contract. Once it's approved by the local board, we'll send to the State Board of Education for consideration at its June meeting. A copy of the Swiss contract and the supporting resolution is attached. Mr. Chair, I recommend approval.
You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the 2024 through 2030 strategic waiver contract. Is there a motion for approval?
So move. Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Moving to action items, Group 2, Dr. Horton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The only action item I have for you in Group 2 is to approve school nutrition bids for the 24-25 school year. Approval is requested to approve school nutrition bids for the 24-25 school year. Bid tabulation sheet for the nutrition programs has been provided. The food bid, U.S. Foods with a bid, it's a rollover bid from SY 22 of $7,608,000, $739.95 for groceries. That was renewed for this coming year. Thomaston Milk Company with a bid from school year 23 of $810,191.18. That was renewed for next year. Imperial Dade with a bid from school year 23 of $64,421.74 for warewashing and chemicals that's being renewed. Imperial Dade with a bid from SY 23 of $290,648.23 for paper products. Royal Food Service with a bid from school year 23 of $12,326.25 for produce. Flowers Baking with a bid rolling over from SY 22 of $220,426.46, and that bid is for fresh bread, and it's renewed for 24-25. Mr. Chair, I recommend approval. I will tell you, rolling over these bids and participating in some cooperative purchasing with some other school systems has allowed us to keep our overall cost the same. I will tell you that within the bids, prices for individual items and availability of items, prices are going up and availability can be pretty sketchy at times. So Robin and her folks are really doing a good job to make sure that we have all the ingredients and the foods that we need to be able to put quality meals on plates every day. So I appreciate their efforts and recommend approval.
You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent to approve school nutrition bids for 2024 through 25 school year. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Move into action items group 3, trips.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll call on Dr. Guy to bring you trips. Dr. Guy.
Thank you, Dr. Horton. The principal of Smoky Road Middle School requests permission for the chorus and band students to travel to Orlando, Florida on April the 6th through the 9th, 2025 to participate in a performance learning experience with Universal Stars and Sound Design. No school days will be missed, and there is no cost to the school system. The principal of Arnold Middle School requests permission for the band and chorus students to travel to Orlando, Florida on February 16th through the 19th, 2025. Students will participate in the Universal Star Workshop as part of the Universal Studios Youth Program. No school days will be missed, and there's no cost to the school system. Both of these requests do meet our field trip guidelines.
Mr. Chair, I recommend approval.
We're going to do these separately. Is there a motion to approve the Smoky Road field trip request?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Is there a motion to approve the Arnold Middle School field trip request?
So moved.
Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Superintendent's reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll call on Keith Chapman to bring you budget report, sales tax, and your budget workshop. Mr. Chapman.
Budget report, we had a very good month. Under budget, approximately $1.9 million, over approximately 1.3 for the year. Were it not for the bonuses pushed down from the state and the delayed timing on the school buses, we would be under budget at this point. So about as good a position as we could be in right now. Sales tax collections, just over $3.3 million, increased year over year, 4.01%. As Dr. Horton said, this is also our first budget workshop. We're required to have 2 budget workshops. The second workshop will be next Tuesday at 6:30 at this location. There you go. Thanks, Mike. This is the format we've worked from for the last several years. We start from our our current budget, and work down to our current numbers. For 24, we had just over $270 million budgeted for revenues. The first part of that is state funding, just over $129 million to start with. Due to our growth and some other funding issues, seeing a $9.7 million increase in our QBE. Our local fair share has increased, which is a subtraction from our earnings, right at $2.9 million. They've recalculated our funding. It's statewide, not just us. Saw a significant increase there, $3 million. Small increase with nursing due to the raises passed on from the state. Receiving $1.3 million in school safety funds. Projecting right at $140 million for state funds for FY25. $11.2 million increase over last year. Midterm, our growth has slowed, so we're reducing the amount we have budgeted for midterm, approximately $2.3 million. Federal indirect costs, we receive overhead back from federal programs. That fluctuates from year to year, small decrease there. Bus replacement funds, increase of $1.1 million. Other state grants, small increase there. A small increase in our interest income. We've seen much better rates over the last year than we have in years. That's based off of current earnings. TAVT, the tidal ad valorem tax, that's based on a projection for the remainder of the year. Other taxes, intangibles, don't project to change there. For '24, we had the GNETS program included in our general fund. That's being moved into Fund 532, so we removed that revenue out. We accepted growth last year when we did the digest to offset projected growth in the local fair share and to balance the budget. Right now, we have a 3% increase budgeted for growth on the digest. We think that will be low, but to be conservative, we've worked from 3% there. Looking at a projected revenue increase of $23.1 million, total projected revenue of $293 million. Next page. Our expenditures. We have budgeted $296 million in expenditures for FY25. We're budgeting $3.3 million in the reserve, which is very similar to the current year. Our salaries and benefits make up almost $269 million of this, and this is 90.73% of the budget. Looking at personnel changes for FY25, significant increase due to health insurance, almost $5.7 million. That's passed to us from the state. State increase of $2,500
Keith,
per.
can I
I'm
stop
sorry.
you for just one question?
Yes, ma'am.
So $5 million increase from over last year for just to cover medical insurance?
Yes, ma'am. And it will continue to increase for the next 2 years for classified personnel.
Keith, or Mr. Chapman, will it then plateau? Hopefully.
You want my honest answer? No. It's supposed to, but by that time, if history serves us, we will see another round of increases.
Thank you.
State passed $2,500 down for certified employees. That's passed along to our teachers, our admin who are mainly certified. TRS rate has increased. ERS has decreased a little. See a $1.2 million increase there. We moved the Empower Program employees from the ESSERs from the federal fund into the general fund. That's almost $3 million.
One more question. So that was the COVID funds that we received?
Yes, ma'am.
So they ended in 2024,
correct?
correct?
We have to have those funds expended by the end of September this year.
Okay, and so that now, we kept some of those positions, so now that rolls into our general budget, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We've worked, Dr. Horton has made sure we've worked on that ever since we started getting the funds to make sure we did not end up in a situation where we had to reduce our force.
Yeah, he's been pretty modest. Mr. Chapman and the rest of the staff have been very diligent, really since COVID, about making sure that any of those federally funded positions that we had on the books, that we had a plan to roll them back to the general fund without having to do a reduction in force. So very good planning on their part to make sure that as that funding rolls out, we have sustainability. Yes, ma'am.
There were steps awarded to certified employees, which was funded from the state, but this did not apply to administrative personnel. We added a few positions. They're listed out there: social work, remedial teachers, et cetera. State mandated 4.1% raise for a bus driver, school nurses. Also, school food service, which isn't included in the general fund, but did want to make note of that. We had some other significant changes. We had not made any increases to our operating items 12 to 15 years. We got to the point to be able to operate, we had to add some funding there. We adjusted our property and casualty insurance. We hope that's enough. We still don't have our final numbers yet for next year. The Centegix upgrade, security system throughout the system, was a major project in the 24 budget. It's not in the 25, so that shows as a decrease. We are planning on increasing the Elevate program, increasing furniture just due to needs throughout the system, and increasing operation funds for safety.
Board members, while he's switching pages, I will mention on maintenance, technology, some of those other areas where we're budgeting an increase. Things have, Items have increased since about 2007 or 8, and I think we've been operating with about the same maintenance budget since about that time. So we began to look through the last year at our expenses versus what we had budgeted, and it just wasn't added up. So we figured we needed to go ahead and add some in there for this year. Mr. Chapman.
This page, it's similar to what we've had in the past. It's our major expenditures outside of personnel. I'm not going to go through these. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
I do have one question. On the SROs, the 2 million that's allotted for that, so that we still share that?
Yes, ma'am.
We still share that with the city and the county?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's just our portion to cover all of them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That makes up almost $27 million. All other expenses, $700,000 or less than 0.25%. So, I mean, as it shows, the majority of our expenditures are for salaries and benefits. Going forward, right now, we're projecting our reserves at the end of June just under $40 million, 13.49% of our budget, just a tad lower than we were percentage-wise for FY24. Still well below the state requirement of 15%. Looking going forward, trying to maintain a healthy reserve. We do know there will be additional health insurance increases for the next 2 years, and also the floating homestead exemption.
Dr. Horton, one more question. What is the contracted medical assistance?
We have, I won't say many, but we do have several students throughout our school system that require 24-hour nursing care. They require nursing care when they're with us, so that would fall into that particular category. We were actually having the discussion a while back. That's very expensive service, so that's why you see a pretty good amount budgeted there for that service.
I've got a quick question as well. Sorry if I'm going to put you on the spot, but I see on here the Georgia Best. Can you talk about how many people have gone through that over the past year? I think it's obviously well worth it. We've talked about it about a year ago.
Yes, sir.
But do you have an update?
This past year, we have a cohort of 125 educators that are taking advantage of earning advanced degrees in fields that the system has deemed to be high need or high leverage. For instance, literacy, leadership. You know, we've talked a lot about succession planning and having that next crop of leaders ready to go. A lot of special ed. We have a special ed cohort that's going through and really trying to make sure that our employees, we're trying to sustain our workforce long past the time that we're all here, hopefully, and do so in some of those strategic areas that are just incredibly important. I'll camp out for a second on literacy. You know, that's an area that, of course, the state has deemed important. We all know that it's incredibly important for our students to be able to read so that they can learn and grow up and be productive citizens. So one of the things that we're doing through Georgia's Best in some of our cohorts is we're providing reading endorsements, and they're having to become certified in literacy so that we can better benefit our students. Board members, you may remember when we started that last year, we entered into the agreement for West Georgia. We entered into a 4-year agreement. This is phase 1. We're halfway through phase 1. And then there's more. There's been a ton of conversation with West Georgia about what phase 2 might look like. Thinking outside the box a little bit about how we get that next generation potentially of educators into a program like that, so that, you know, we talk about growing our own and sustaining our workforce so that our school system can be viable for community's children in the future. Maybe looking into, okay, how can we better support potential undergraduates in that want to chase after the dream of being an educator. So more to come on that, but I get more positive comments about the investment that this board chose to make in our employees through Georgia's Best, probably, than I do anything. They are incredibly appreciative of that investment. So thank you.
Thank you.
On the Georgia Best, I'll add, I think that's, one of the most worthwhile things that we do to take care of our workforce. You hear, it's not hard to find in the national media about teacher shortages and teacher burnout, and a lot of places having problems hiring. So I think we're doing great there. I also want to comment, I guess 2 lines above that on the cybersecurity. One of those that, unfortunately, in today's world, that's $600,000 that we have to spend to protect employee information, data, just to be secure. And thanks, Mr. Harris, for what y'all do there and put into that. But that's just one of those things that you have to do in 2024. So, yeah, unfortunately so. But thanks for all the work that goes into that to keep us secure, because obviously there have been some that were not secure, and it didn't turn out too well.
We'll make a couple of additional comments on the budget. I want to point out that reserve number, board members, were projected to be just under 40 million in reserve at the end of the fiscal year. That's about 6 weeks of operating expense for our school system. So, you know, if the unthinkable were to happen, we would have approximately 6 weeks that we'd be able to operate before we needed to go out and borrow money to make payroll. We'll also mention to you and remind everyone that we use that reserve from July until December to operate the system until property tax comes in, typically after December the 1st. Around October every year is when we get to our low point. I've seen it where we have 2 days of operating expense left. It's important, though, because we don't have to go out and borrow money at that point to make payroll, and the hundreds of thousands of dollars that we would possibly have to pay in interest when we go take those tax anticipatory notes out. So that's why that number's key. The state, it caps it at 15%. You can see we're at 13.49, which I think is a little bit lower than we were last year. But we've always been pretty keen on trying to make sure that we keep that healthy reserve in the event that we need it, quite frankly, and we do use it. I want to thank Mr. Chapman, Mr. Latimer, and all of our staff. We put our heads together and we start these budget conversations typically right after Christmas. I know the staff doesn't look forward to them as much as I do because I'm ready to plan and put it together. We have to wait on the legislature to finish their work, but a lot of hard work has gone into this. We'll point out those rising insurance costs. That's something that we're going to continue to have to navigate. And of course, we're passing along salary increases that have been sent from the state. I'm glad that we're able to do that. It's a good budget. I think it accomplishes a lot of the things that we want to try to accomplish. I will say, in the last 2 days, I've read 2 articles about state tax collections being down. So we just got to continue to be mindful of looking forward, looking for those potential storm clouds that might be on the horizon. But I think this positions us very well to be able to take care of our kids, take care of our employees, and we'll continue to worry about what might be just over the horizon and keep monitoring. Keith and his folks do a great job of that. So thanks again, Mr. Chapman.
Thank you. Dr. Horton, I appreciate you explaining the reserves and what it can be used for and why we have that amount in there. I know from time to time the public doesn't really understand and think we're sitting on a pot of gold. Why do we even need that much money? But it's very important that we keep a very healthy reserve. And Keith, I think I ask this every year, but what's the maximum percentage the state allows?
15%.
Yes.
This time, I'll call on Dr. Guy to bring you your staff and student attendance and your board goal report. Dr. Guy.
Thank you, Dr. Horton. For the 8th enrollment and attendance reporting period, the school with the highest staff attendance was Glanton Elementary School. Highest student attendance in the program area, Central Educational Center. Highest student attendance for elementary school, Brooks Elementary School. Highest middle school student attendance was Smoky Road Middle School. And the high school with the highest student attendance, home of the Vikings, Northgate High School. For your board goal report, this is just a reminder that the annual Coweta County School System Administrative Workshop is scheduled for Monday and Tuesday, June 3rd and June 4th, 2024. This year's workshop will be held at the Nixon Center for all principals, assistant principals, and central office staff. As always, we invite you, the school board members, to attend and we look forward to your presence prior to you completing your required upcoming training by the Georgia School Boards Association.
Thank you, Dr. Guy. Board members, the last thing I have for you tonight is the facilities report. You can see Northgate, it's still on our report. Ronnie and I, we can't wait to get it off of there, but we're still working to get all of the final warranties executed and returned to us before we can execute that final pay request. You've heard a little bit about softball field houses tonight. Those projects are coming along very well. We anticipate substantial completion of those by the end of June. Band towers are up. Demolition of the old towers at East Coweta and Northgate has been completed, and we'll remove that old band tower at Noonan High once we can get the modular classrooms removed from there. Noonan High, I was over there right before the meeting today. You can see bid package 3, we've paid out $62 million out of $72 million so far, so that gives you an idea of just how far along the way we are. Upstairs, third floor, all of the flooring has been installed in the classrooms and the corridors on that level. So it's looking really good there. The majority of the building has doors that have been hung. They were actually upstairs this afternoon late doing some finish painting, touch-up painting out in front of the media center. So we're rocking along at Noonan High. You probably have noticed the topsoil that's been put out. The front lawn is to grade. Just, I think, waiting on a few dry days, they can come out and work on some additional sidewalks and landscaping, and we'll begin to get a great deal of work completed on a day-to-day basis over there as we go. I am relieved to report that all the elevator equipment is there. Mr. Cheek put that on the report for me because he knows that the elevator's been something I'm waiting on, because you can't get a certificate of occupancy without an elevator. So good to see that installation is proceeding. This summer, I mentioned to you last month, this summer will be busy. Next Friday, when school gets out, Noonan High will, for the third summer in a row, transform into a bit of a beehive. We've got to get all the furniture out of the modulars. We've got to get all the infrastructure out of the modulars. We've got to get the modulars moved. Then we've got to get the parking lots repaved, which you approved tonight, and get everything moved into the new building while it's still under construction. So it's going to be one of our most ambitious summers yet, but we are right on track with the project at Noonan High, but we got a long way to go and a short time to get there over the course of the next few weeks. But everybody is doing an incredible job on that project, and I couldn't be more proud of Mr. Cheek, Jeannie Ingram, and Walter Drake and the work that they're doing just to coordinate the mountain of things that we have going on this summer. So thank you for that, Ronnie. That's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Horton. So we'll move to public comment. I'll call everyone out just in case they are here. Jasmine Bud Ferguson, Ava Lewis, Tanika Williams, and or Bailey Vaughn Wright. Okay. So we'll move on to, actually, before we do that, thank you all for being in attendance, both this evening, both online and in person. We'll now move on to board comments. Are there any board comments? Well, I have one. We should have done this last month, but thanks, Mr. Farmer. He reminded me. On behalf of the Coweta County Board of Education, I have the privilege of expressing our collective admiration and gratitude to Dr. Horton. The President's Award bestowed upon him by the Georgia School Superintendents Association shows his unwavering dedication and outstanding leadership qualities. Dr. Horton's remarkable ability to navigate the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic while ensuring the successful reconstruction of Noonan High School is a small testament to his vision and tenacity. We commend you, Dr. Horton, for your exemplary service and reaffirm our unwavering support as you continue to guide our school system toward excellence. Thank you. You have to go down and get your picture. We'll do it after the meeting. Is there a motion to approve to enter into executive session to discuss personnel, real estate, and potential litigation?
So move.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion. Motion carries 7-0.